We're going to look at the metaballs now within TrueSpace 5. We have several primitive metaball objects here. A cube, a cylinder, a sphere, a rounded cylinder, a rounded cube, and metamuscle. We're going to start by looking at the sphere primitive. We can't actually describe this as a metaball object yet because we've got nothing for this primitive to interact with. So we'll create a second sphere primitive immediately. And we can now see how the metaballs are going to work. We get this typical organic shape that we'd expect. If I right-click on the primitive icon, we get several options here which can assist us in our modeling. Various display qualities of our hardware and so on. Firstly, on Move, Conversion. Now if I move the primitive around, I've got an immediate update of the metaball object and its behavior. This is okay on two objects like this because it's quite simple. On release, now I can move my second primitive object around. Left-clicking and dragging, nothing is happening until I let go of the mouse button, and my model is then automatically updated. The third option is On Demand. The properties of the object change quite dramatically now. I can move this around anywhere I like, let go, move this around anywhere I like, and let go, and as soon as I exit the metaball editing mode, the object is updated. Simply right-clicking on the object will bring them back into this display mode, On Demand. We've got navigation resolution and render resolution. These are going to change the way the metaball is displayed when we are manipulating them. We can tighten the resolution up, again slowing down the system quite a lot. By changing the navigation resolution, we can see that quite clearly now. The mesh is becoming a lot smoother, and of course it's much denser now. Let's put that down to a more sensible resolution for the moment. Render resolution is, of course, the resolution of the final object. Okay, the last option there was a checkbox. Use X offset for primitives. What that's saying is, if it's checked and I now click on an object, it's offsetting it on the X-axis. I'll do that without it checked. Click, and our new object is created on the same axis as the old object. And of course, the volume of the metaball object is increased as we have two objects influencing each other now. And the context-sensitive flyout. We've got 5 options here. We've got a sphere icon with a plus on it and a sphere with a negative on it. I just need to create my second primitive. Now if I click on the minus, we get a negative influence over our metaball object. I can move this primitive cage around and it will negatively influence the other primitive object, reducing its volume. Click back on the plus and of course it's attracting to the other object now. And we've got move, rotate, and scale icons as we've seen in other tutorials. One thing we should look at here as well is the area of influence over our metaball primitive. Right-clicking on the primitive will open another control mesh which will gauge the amount of influence this object is having over this one. Just move those apart. Right-click again, now left-click and drag the area of influence. You can see the primitive on the left is gradually being drawn toward the one on the right as the area of influence engulfs it. Going to pull that back down to standard again. Just left-click on the other primitive to select that and begin operations on that. Of course, we have other primitive objects. As my checkbox wasn't selected, I've created a cube metaball primitive on top of the sphere that I already had. I'll just move that away. You can see we get some attraction going on here. Now we can exit metaball editing just by pressing the spacebar. I'm just going to change the render resolution here. Press the spacebar and now we're going to render the object. We can see that the object is a complete single mesh and it's joined together organically and smoothly.